Right, I am on the way to meet Sam. Now, Sam is one of the biggest UK vintage resellers. We're gonna have a sit-down chat, ask him all the questions that you guys wanna know about vintage reselling, almost like an interview. So guys, please do show support on today's video. Literally, it's gonna give you all the information you need. Some hidden gems are gonna be in here. So let's go see Sam now, sit down and peck his head. So let's go. See if I hope he's in. Hello.
What are you doing here?
Right, I'm here to interview you, man. How are you?
I'm good, bro. Come in.
Can I come see the tour? Let's go sit down. You're already here, yeah?
Yeah, I've just been filming vintage vids, bro.
Here he is. Right, you ready to be grilled?
I thought I'd say groomed, but...
Firstly, for people who don't know, would you like to introduce yourself and what do you do?
Hello, I'm Sam, formerly known as Sam Coleman, and I am a sneaker reseller who primarily makes content about vintage reselling. It's probably where you see me, or back on the old Nike Outlet videos. They're pretty prominent. But yeah, I'm literally, just like you, a normal reseller.
We're going to talk more about Vinted today. So when did you first actually start vintage reselling?
In 2022 was when I first started sourcing stock off there. It was when I was doing S&C kicks full time, where it was, dropping Chavs, Jordan 4s, anything that had, hype around it, anything that I could make money on along the side of doing the outlet stuff. And I used to find crazy stuff on Vinted before it became very mainstream, when you could just go on there and buy stuff non-stop for steals without using automation, literally just manually. It was, good old days, man.
So it's fair to say you started out as a sneaker head before you got into the reselling, or were you just purely in it for money?
Nah, it was always to fund the collection. I've been reselling since 2016 sort of time. Not to the extent I am now. It was always buying and selling to fund something for myself, for the collection. And it was only when I was about 16, maybe 17, I had somehow realised I could make, a part-time income off this. When all my friends were working for £7 an hour, I was just reselling. So I would say originally it was as a sneakerhead, to fund the collection. But as time has gone on, I realised I could turn it into an actual business, and it's become more so of a business now.
So now, am I right in saying you're more vintage reselling, yes?
I would say that is probably what I'm most known for. I would say yes. At the minute, probably mainly vintage reselling, yeah.
So just give us a quick breakdown of what is it?
It's pretty simple. You essentially buy profitable stock. We say stock, it's other people's old shoes, old clothes, old cameras, whatever it is. You buy it off there
Buy it off Vinted.
Off of Vinted, that is, at below market, and then you sell it for a profit. And, because stuff sells for so cheap on there and there's so much being put on there, it's very easy to source stock off of there.
No, that makes sense. That swiftly moves on to a bit more exciting stuff now. What is your biggest and best profitable flip from vintage reselling?
From vintage reselling, there's two that stand out massively. One was I bought Travis reverse mockers. It was about 18 months ago for £100. Came back legit. They had the offspring receipt. I legit set them. And I sold them for $6.50. They were a size 6,
wow.
But yeah, $5.50 profit off of that. A lot of Travis Phantoms, and then the other one that is a bit more difficult now because the market's flooded with fakes was Gutter Green Cortez 95s. I was buying a lot of used pairs below retail and selling them for 300 used. That was this time last year, really.
So things have changed a lot.
Yeah, the market is completely different now.
So that's your best. Now there must be some fails here. What are the biggest fails that stand out to you?
Dumb stuff. Stupid stuff. Stuff like stuff getting delivered to Impost and then being on holiday, so not being able to collecting it.
Yeah.
Then it goes back to the seller, and a lot of the time they keep the item and they get the sale. It's changed now, but back 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, they would always just get paid out. If you don't collect it, they get paid out for it and it gets sent back to them. Buying fakes, I don't think it's a fail because you're kind of covered to a decent extent.
Can you explain that a little bit for everyone?
If you are unhappy with an item you buy on Vinted, you must open a claim or open a report within 48 hours, and as long as you can provide sufficient evidence the item is either a replica or not as stated, whether there's extra damage that wasn't shown or you weren't told about, then Vinted will allow you to refund and return the item. A lot of time though, sellers will make you pay for shipping, but I'd much rather pay £2.50, take it as a learning lesson and get a refund on the item.
So the biggest question, moving on quite swiftly, is basically, yes, you're selling a lot, you're making good money, you're making a full-time income from this, but how are you actually buying the shoes? Where are you sourcing your stock from? Can you give us a little breakdown?
To be honest, it is literally 90, I'd say 80 or 90% sourcing on Vinted and then selling back. Because obviously using the monitor, it just makes life so easy. I'm not having to sit there like I used to, searching and hunting for steals. Because we have the private monitors, by the way, if you want to have a go at that, let me know. I'll help you out. But we have the private monitors. I set up all my search filters, all my search terms, and then it will ping. I can have Discord on my phone, on my laptop, on my iPad. When I'm out and about, if I'm on holiday, sitting by the pool, it is so easy. And if it isn't on there, it's either from my private clientele. Not a lot of that I sell on Vinted. Nike Outlet stuff as well. Or literally buying off Vinted and then selling back on there.
So with the monitor, you're basically setting the items you want to see, the exact prices you want to see. So that means every time you get a notification, it's usually something worth going for or usually something profitable.
I would say for me, it's probably slap bang 50-50. Yeah. It's either something that's gone onto my filters just because what someone's listed it as, and it's not something I'm potentially not interested in, but then the other half is always good stuff popping up. Yeah. And that's the same for the other monitors, is you're not necessarily guaranteed profit. I'm taking a risk by buying everything, but it's a calculated risk because I've done my market research. I know what it goes for. I know what I can sell it for. Therefore, I know if I can sell it for 30 and it's £10, there's a potential £20 profit on it. So yeah, not everything is 100% guaranteed profit. However, if you're buying at the right price, which is what the monitor does for you, it only shows you stuff at the right price, then, you know, it's less of the risk already, you know, eliminated.
Makes sense. So moving on swiftly, a little controversial topic now with cross-listing. Do you purely sell on Vinted? Is it worth spending double the time listing on Depop, listing on eBay? And is it even worth using other tools to cross-list?
Okay, I will say I have had companies send me their tools, their cross-listing tools to test out. They're good, they're time effective. However, it can sometimes flag for automation. If you're cross-listing, you know, 30 items, that will flag for automation, which is why when we use auto buy and stuff, just going back to using the monitor, we have it set so it is essentially designed to imitate a human purchasing an item, whereas the cross-listing, I don't know exactly how it works, but it did flag up for automation. So I have used it before. At the moment, I don't.
So that's cross-listed, but are you still manually listing on other platforms?
So with eBay, when you get used to doing listings, the same as Vinted, I can do a full Vinted listing, upload the photos, fill out all the stuff in 30 seconds, 40 seconds.
So definitely worth doing.
Definitely worth doing. eBay's a sticky one because it's the same as Depop. It takes time for it to circulate. But eBay have around 15 million users, something stupid like that. Whereas Vinted have about 4 or 5. So you got a 3 times chance of your item being seen. But obviously the competition is higher. And there are a lot of people that don't use eBay that use Vinted, vice versa. eBay, I think, is more business orientated. So I recommend it because you can't just rely on one platform. It's the reason I use Depop as well. Depop is a whole nother story, but yeah, I do recommend cross-listing.
We're going to move on now, a bit more controversy. You actually might have seen it in the news quite a lot recently, and it's about the whole side hustles and taking advantage of, for example, charity shop clothes and making a profit on them. And you're technically making profit on people who don't have the knowledge of what the market price is. What have you got to say about that?
You know, the simple answer is, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game. For charity shops, I don't think it's unethical whatsoever. You know, at the end of the day, someone has chosen to donate that item for free. They were either going to bin it or donate it to charity. They've given it to charity. Charity shops are full of people's unwanted items or unused items. So if someone goes in there, they buy an item, the money's going to charity, and then they're able to make a little bit on top.
No, I understand. I agree with what you're saying, because at the end of the day, if it's going to a charity shop, it's also the money you're paying for the product is going to charity. It's your product. You do whatever you want. So I'm with you on that. Now, I'm not going to ask you how much money do you make from this, but can you give us some examples or possibilities of Vinted reselling? So, for example, how much can you make or how much have you made in the past?
I'm not going to disclose it, but multiple 5 figures. We'll put it that way. I'm not 6-figure profit from Vinted yet, but I am very, very, very high 5 figures. I'll be 6 figures.
And by how the end of the year. Long have you been Vinted reselling for, seriously, to get that 5 figures?
Oh, bro, just this year. Like, I'm not even talking about years before, but like just this year. Honestly, the way that I look at it now is all you've got to do is sell 10 pairs a day for an average of £30 profit is 10k a month. is 120k a year.
No, you're not wrong. So, I mean, you've already answered my question there, but can you make a full-time wage from it?
Yeah, well, what's a full-time wage? 2.5. You sell 100 shoes a month at £25 profit. There's your full-time
There's
wage.
your full-time wage. And finally, before we round off everything, what advice do you have to people who want to start? People who want to get into the game, who don't know anything, don't know where to start, don't know what to buy in at. What would you say?
Number one, before you even get started, get educated. Get on eBay, understand the niche. Don't just because you see me or someone else selling a whole variety of stuff. Pick one niche, learn the niche. Once you've sort of understood that niche, you can apply the same understanding and skill to the next niche, and you continuously grow your stock understanding. And it's time, it's consistency, it's patience. You will make mistakes. I don't know anyone that hasn't made mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. So, it's learning how to authenticate, learning certain colors do better, certain sizes do better, certain models do better. So I would say that would be my first piece of advice, is understand what you're doing, educate yourself. The second bit would be practice and patience. And then thirdly, I would just say don't get too overly attached. You want to have a bit of an obsession. I think a healthy obsession is okay, but if you're sitting there obsessing about how other vintage resellers are doing, what they're selling, or if you see someone make a sale and you get jealous of it or something like that, for example, don't do that.
Focus on yourself.
Focus on yourself. You don't need, doesn't matter what I'm making, doesn't matter what he's making, doesn't matter what they're making. Focus on yourself. Here's another one then. Set small targets which will hit a long term. For example, let's say in 1 year you want to make £10,000. Let's say it's 900 a month, is 225 a week. You're going to make less at the start because you're not going to have as much stock. So start with the smaller goals, hit the smaller goals, then you're going to hit the bigger goals, and then ultimately you're going to hit your biggest goal. So I think set targets, reasonable, realistic targets.
Perfect. And last thing, you mentioned about using a monitor. Where can people use that?
KaiKicks.com. It is on there. Use code SAM.
Yeah.
It will get you 50% off just for the Vinted monitor. If you want the full package, I think it's £10 off your first month.
Yeah.
Give it a go. I mean, worst case scenario, you don't enjoy it, you cancel it. Best case scenario, you get hooked. I mean, the amount of people that are on it now making bread, and everyone's winning. So
that's exactly it.
That's all I can say.
Thank you for coming on. I hope
pleasure.
everyone has enjoyed and at least gained, well, everyone have gained at least one thing from today's video. So that is it. Thank you very much.